Have you ever wondered what kind of man lingers in a woman's mind long after the message fades from her screen? Not the one who tries too hard, not the one who floods her inbox with compliments or emojis. It's the man who knows how to leave an impression with just a few carefully chosen words. The man who understands that influence, real influence, doesn't begin with a grand gesture. It begins with subtle presence, and often it begins in the quiet stillness of the morning. Picture this. She wakes up, sunlight creeping through the blinds, mind still soft with dreams. The first thing she sees is your message, not a cliché, not a generic "good morning, beautiful," but something deeper, something thoughtful, something that invites her to think about you. That's where your power lies. Not in chasing attention, but in planting the kind of thought that grows in her throughout the day. Most men never consider this. They wake up, send a text out of habit, and hope for a reply. Then they wait and wonder why the connection never deepens. The truth is, they've made a common mistake, confusing activity for intention. They text without meaning, without awareness, without presence. But you're not most men. You're here because you understand the power of being deliberate. And in this modern world of distractions, being deliberate is rare. It is valuable. The Stoics taught us that we cannot control others. We can only control ourselves, our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So the question is not, did she reply? But, what energy did I send out today? What idea did I leave her with that made her pause, reflect, smile? That's what this is about. Not seduction, not manipulation. Influence. Quiet influence, rooted in self-respect. A good morning text from a high-value man isn't just a greeting. It's a statement of presence. It says, "I'm aware, I'm intentional, and I'm not here to impress. I'm here to connect, deeply, authentically." And that, my friend, is a rare and powerful thing. So let me show you how to do it, not with tricks but with timeless wisdom. With 7 good morning texts that don't just get a response, they leave a lasting impression. You ready? Let's begin. The 7 good morning texts. A Stoic man's approach to influence. 1. The text that sparks curiosity. "You won't believe what I dreamt about last night." A Stoic man never hands out all his thoughts at once. He understands that curiosity is a more powerful hook than flattery. This message doesn't seek attention, it earns it. By hinting at a story but not revealing it, you plant a question in her mind. She'll wonder, she'll wait. You've just taken up real estate in her thoughts without trying to impress, only by being intentional. Mystery, when grounded in self-control, becomes magnetism. 2. The one that shows depth. What's one thing you're working toward this week that matters to you? While others open their day with small talk, you open it with meaning. This kind of message isn't about surface-level bonding. It's about signaling that you see her as more than just a face or a name. You value her mind, her ambition, her essence. In a world of shallow connections, being the man who asks real questions sets you apart. This is how trust is born, not with compliments, but with curiosity about who she really is. 3. The mental escape. If you could wake up anywhere in the world this morning, where would it be? 4. The memory rekindler. This morning reminded me of that day at the lake, still one of my favorite moments. The Stoic knows the past can be a powerful ally when it's used with care. By drawing her back to a real, joyful experience you shared, you're not just reminiscing, you're reactivating emotion. Nostalgia, when evoked from a place of stillness, triggers intimacy. It says, "I was fully present in that moment, and I remember." And that in this fast-paced world is rare. She'll feel seen and, more importantly, remembered. 5. The compliment with substance. The way you carry yourself, that quiet strength, it's rare. 6. The playful disruptor. I had the strangest dream. You, me, and a lion. I'll explain later. Even the Stoic knows that joy has its place. Humor, used wisely, is a spark in an otherwise serious world. But this isn't mindless joking. This is calibrated playfulness. It invites her into a world of fun without losing your frame. It's a moment of levity that adds texture to your connection. And more than that, it gives her something to smile about before the world starts demanding things from her. 7. The message of encouragement. Everything you need to conquer today is already within you. Don't doubt it. This isn't just motivation, it's leadership. A Stoic man doesn't cheer from the sidelines, he reminds others of their strength, especially women who are constantly pulled in 1,000 directions. This message doesn't beg for her affection, it contributes to her well-being. And in doing so, it subtly shows that you're not here to take, but to uplift. The man who helps her face her day is the man she'll remember when the day ends. The Stoic approach to texting isn't about volume, it's about value. And when you begin your day by offering something meaningful, even in just a few words, you rise above the noise. You become the exception in a world full of men trying too hard to be noticed. And the best part? You didn't have to chase. You simply chose your words, like a man who knows their weight. The ultimate Stoic attraction principle. Why this works without desperation. The most powerful form of attraction begins where desperation ends. You see, most men spend their energy trying to be liked, bending themselves to fit expectations, overthinking every message, chasing connection as if it's oxygen. But a Stoic man moves differently. He understands that true influence, the kind that lingers in a woman's mind, doesn't come from chasing her attention, it comes from commanding his own. This entire approach, sending intentional, emotionally intelligent good morning texts, is not about trying to win her over. It's about living from a place of presence and power. You're not texting to prove your worth, you're expressing it. And that changes everything. Why does this work without desperation? Because your actions come from stillness, not scarcity. You're not scrambling to impress, you're inviting connection through clarity. That subtle shift, from needing a response to offering value, is where confidence begins. Women feel that difference. They feel it in the pacing of your words, in the calm between your messages, in the way you create space rather than crowd it. A man who's grounded in himself doesn't try to be unforgettable, he simply is. He doesn't flood her with words because he knows the right words, spoken with calm intent, are more powerful than 1,000 empty gestures. And this is why the Stoic man attracts without effort, because his focus is never on being wanted, it's on being aligned. Most men hope to be chosen, but a Stoic man chooses. He chooses when to speak, how to lead, and most importantly, where to place his energy. That choice, deliberate and composed, is the quiet force behind why she thinks of you when the room is empty, why your words echo long after the conversation ends. Attraction in its highest form is not about emotional pursuit, it's about emotional posture, and when you hold yours with grace and strength, you don't need to chase. You create gravity. The kind of presence that lingers, the kind of energy that can't be faked. So don't be the man who waits for validation. Be the man who owns his space, who sends a message not because he needs attention, but because he has something meaningful to offer. Let every word reflect a man who respects himself first. That's not desperation, that's direction. And in the end, direction is far more attractive than desire. If there's one truth a Stoic man must remember, it's this. Influence begins not with what you say, but with who you are. These messages, the good morning texts, the moments of curiosity, of calm, of subtle insight, are not tactics. They are reflections of a deeper transformation. A man who leads with purpose does not seek to impress, he seeks to express his values, his intentions, his standard. and that standard becomes undeniable. So here's the challenge. Stop sending empty words just to get a reply. Start communicating like a man who knows his worth. A man who doesn't beg for attention, but commands respect. Every message you send should be rooted in clarity, not craving. That's how you become unforgettable, not because you tried to be, but because you couldn't be ignored. In a world full of noise, be the quiet force she feels even in your silence. And if you're ready to embody that kind of strength, not just in dating, but in every part of your life, then this is where you belong. Subscribe to Ultimate Stoicism and keep walking the path of a man who leads with calm, speaks with intention, and lives with discipline. Because the man who masters himself never needs to chase.